Well, here at Future Renting Wales, we've got 200 delegates and also industry stakeholders and even from the local council. So I'm very delighted to be joined by Ashley Aske. Great to have your company here today at the conference.
Thank you, Vanessa.
How important do you think it is for landlords, as we said, 200 here today, policymakers, local authority, to all get together under one roof and discuss the issues?
Well, Vanessa, I think it's very important from an informative point of view and certainly an educational point of view, and a chance to network with each other as well. And I think also the opportunity to discuss some of the problems, and if you get a cross-sector opinion, it helps to inform policy.
Yes.
So that's only a benefit, to the sector, and hopefully it'll improve, the private rented sector going forward.
Indeed, because really it's, everybody should be working together for the greater good of the private rented sector, shouldn't they?
Indeed, yes. A collaborative approach is always the best. And if you can get, different ideas, different ways of, working together in terms of best practice, that's only a good thing for the sector.
It will ultimately help raise standards, and I think that's what everybody here is very committed to, is to raising standards and making the experience of the private rented sector a better place for everybody, especially tenants.
Of course. I mean, the private rented sector was always seen in the past as a poor sector to be housed in. With bad landlords, rogue landlords, bad tenants, always got a lot of bad press. Of course, time moves on, and the private rented sector is a very good option for lots of people, particularly with the shortage of social housing, and the Housing Wales Act 2014 now enables local authorities to discharge into that sector. So it's only a good thing really that the sector is improved and is a good housing option for many people in housing need.
Now here in Cardiff, I would imagine you have your own challenges. Tell us a little bit about the work you do in the housing options team.
You're right, yeah, there's lots of challenges, central government and locally as well. But, you have to rise to that challenge and overcome them. So in terms of that, we've created a service called Cardiff Housing Solutions. And the aim of that is to work collaboratively and in partnership with local landlords to house people in housing need. Lots of people who, are in housing need, through no fault of their own. So it could be landlords, selling their properties, or it could be a victim of circumstance. And it's about tailoring the service to meet the needs of the landlord, particularly supporting the landlord, through the lifetime of the tenancy, and also the tenant themselves. And I think that is vital for any working relationship really, is knowing that they've got that support, that help, that assistance available to them.
Now you are at the coalface of the housing needs in Cardiff. Do you ever feel, and I do trust this might be a little bit of a difficult question, but do you ever feel that there's a disconnect between central government and local government in the respect that there's policies coming out that actually deter landlords from investing in the sector or continuing in the sector, whereas you've got waiting lists and people in temporary accommodation? You desperately need landlords.
A good question, Vanessa, and indeed it is a difficult one for me to answer because, I am working for the local authority. But yes, there is difficulties in terms of central government policies, particularly welfare reform. And we're facing a challenge of universal credit on the horizon for us here in Cardiff. So that's going to deter lots of landlords from renting or to housing lots of our clients in the sector. And then locally, I think the Welsh Government are trying to set policies in place to improve the sector. Rent Smart Wales is good. It'll improve the sector hopefully, and we'll know and have the data of all the landlords in Wales, which is good. We've never really had that information before. And I think Welsh Government, this policy's intention is to improve the sector. So hopefully they can continue to do those things really.
And do you think?
A bit of a diplomatic answer.
No, I completely understand. I put you on the spot there, forgive me. But just to finish, I guess, I actually find the vibe here very positive. And, you know, a lot of fear can actually be generated by the unknown. So by coming out, actually properly understanding everything, that can set landlords on a much clearer path and looking to work with local authorities like yourselves.
Exactly, yes. And, you know, it's having that presence, isn't it, at events like this today. Yes, and informing the landlord, and like you rightly said, giving the clear pathway so they understand, you know, what the local authority can do for them in terms of working in partnership, what that partnership arrangement, you know, is, the detail of it, etc. You know, and dispelling myths as well, because, you know, if you did say, a homeless person, a stereotypical person would have I suppose, a fairly poor perception of a homeless person. You imagine someone on the street, depends on alcohol or you know, substance misuse, and it could be people, you know, who've lost their jobs, you know, or say a victim of circumstance, you know, that finds themselves suddenly, you know, in housing need, the threat of becoming homeless, and are working full time. So, you know, it's not your stereotypical. Example of a homeless person. So again, educating the landlord and explaining to them, you know, that there's a variety of clients, a variety of people in different circumstances that they can help, sometimes dispels that myth.
I'm very glad that we've ended on that point, actually, Ashley, because in my opinion, and my landlord hat on as well, I respect that life can throw many curveballs to people, and that they can have all sorts of crises in their life that means that they have to go onto housing benefit or universal credit. And I think you are absolutely right to state that this category of tenant should not be stereotypical, because I think you know, that's not helping the situation. I think as landlords, if we're educated and we understand, and that the local authority is there to support the landlord as well, I think we can all make a contribution to assisting these people in need.
Indeed, yeah, and we, you know, working together is the way forward, and hopefully, you know, we can dispel these myths that, you know, all housing benefit tenants or homeless tenants are poor tenants. Any tenancy is a risk. You know, whether there's a professional or someone on housing benefit, many landlords who I've spoken to, some of their, you know, best tenants have been housing benefit tenants they've had for, you know, 20 years or what have you, and some of the poorest tenants they've had have been professional. So, and it can work vice versa. So, you know, having an understanding, I suppose, and like you have said, and I've already said, that support in place from the landlord when things do go wrong, you know, is vitally important to enhancing that partnership arrangement.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I've really enjoyed speaking to you today. Thank you for being part of Future Renting Wales.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you.